I'm John Borowski, and you're on the hook. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the movers and shakers of the future within the towing industry. Well, hello. It's good to see you again. We're into September now, Labor Day. We all know what Labor Day is. It's a very, very busy weekend for tow companies. A lot of traffic out there, a lot of wrecks, a lot of distractions. Things happen. But I've got a topic that has been talked about by myself and many others for, at least a good decade and a half. Probably, a good 15 years anyway. And it's about identifying the next generation of movers and shakers within the industry. And the reason being is that they need to be mentored. They need to be identified. We need to do something to try and help them come forward. We are dealing with a generation that is a little bit different than ours, and they seem to think that we don't know what we're doing. From the best part of what I can gather, it's the 30 to 40-year-old range that seems to be upset with us or don't like us or don't think we know what we're doing. But we have always known our industry leaders for, that I'm aware of, over 30 years. But now the cycle's broken, so we're not finding them. But what has changed? Life has changed. It's taken a break for a fad, and that's what I'm going to be calling it, a fad, because that's what I think it is. But we have a lot of issues going on within the industry, and that are starting to uproar within the ranks. And part of it is some of the inadequacies that we've had over the years. But because of where we have this different group coming in right now that wants to change things and run things, and well, there's too many false narratives that these people are judging the future and their life on. And first of all, one of the narratives, and I think this one is just absolutely hysterical. People were really convinced that within, 10, 11 years the world was going to end, meaning 2030. It's not, I don't think is going to be happening. We're not that far away from it. And it's all because they kept saying, well, we must reduce the greenhouse gases. They want to eliminate the gasoline-powered and diesel-powered vehicles and replace them with electric vehicles. It doesn't make any sense because we don't have enough lithium in the world, lithium, cobalt, and nickel, to produce the batteries that just the United States will need for their own vehicles. They've already been building quite a few of them. Matter of fact, just this morning on the news, the CEO, Jim Farley from Ford Motor Company, was saying how they're over $4 billion behind. They've lost $4 billion in this year, model year, already. And now I guess that the government is going to be putting in $12 billion to have them keep pursuing this thing. And the odd part is that what's really going on is there's no demand. People are finding out all these stories that the manufacturers, that the government, they all want to keep it quiet so we would start getting into electric cars. I will be the first to tell you, and I wrote the first training article on alternative fuel vehicles, which of course includes electric and hybrid vehicles, which is a half electric, but it's still the same concept. Vehicles that are on the road, and the problem is that there's no identifying markers on them. We don't know what we're grabbing when we go to an accident scene. You never know what can happen, and then the worst of it is the fires from these vehicles. These batteries go into thermal runaway, and it's awful. It truly is. If you've never seen it, do yourself a favor. Go to Google, do a search, electric car fire, and then click on images or videos. You're not going to believe what you see. However, back to why I think we're here where we are. And they're trying to change us where they want us to eliminate cows. Every cow, we use so much out of a cow, just in dairy products. And then when we end up slaughtering them, we're able to use all that meat that's in them and then their hides. I don't get it. They're worried about the methane gas from those cows. And quite honestly, go outside your house and look up top and you'll see a black pipe coming out right over your bathroom out of the roof. That's a vent stack for your waste sewer lines. There's more methane gas coming out of there from you than there is from the cows that exist now in the world. This is absolutely ludicrous. Chicken's another one that we get a lot of things out of, and now they're talking about eliminating chickens. So what are we going to end up eating? I see on TV they got us. I see where they're trying to feed people bugs, dead bugs, to eat. But then I see a commercial for dogs, and they have real food for them. What's going on? Am I going crazy? Am I upside down? Or is this level of thinking that's happening out there just way off? I don't believe these false narratives are of any good. And then to go further, we have the LGBTQ1P2SAA+. Well, the transgenders, I think, have gone too far. And I think it's unfortunate because I think the gays will pay that price, and that's not fair to them either. But the trans are I don't know. But anyway, all those letters, they have a problem with the letters too, by the way. They've developed 37 genders. 37. There's only 26 letters in the alphabet. Now what are they going to do? I mean, they have them all listed, all the letters, and what they mean is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, pansexual, two-spirit, androgynous, and asexual. I don't understand because I know I don't need a pronoun. I know I'm he, him. I do know that. I never thought differently. When I was born, there was only 2 different types of genders. Male and female, and that was determined by your plumbing. It's that simple. There's nothing more to talk about here. What you do and what you wear and who you sleep with, I don't think anybody cares. But the point is that there's 2 genders. And for anybody to start saying, well, men can have babies, you can't. You can't. It's not physically possible. So with understanding all that, and now we're talking about child mutilation to become a trans. And they're force-feeding this into our 3rd and 4th graders in grammar school. Those kids are still trying to learn about life, never mind sexual preference and what they're going to wear, what they're going to look like, who they're going to identify. Sometimes I wonder if I'm the one that's crazy because this just seems so far out there that I can't even comprehend it. In the classrooms for these same children, they're busy trying to tell them what they should be doing with their sexual futures, but yet they're not teaching them cursive writing. Can you imagine that? For you parents that don't know this, it's got to be 20 years now. They have removed the cursive letters from over the top of the blackboard when you were in grammar school. And I know it's the same all over the country. It's gone. They stopped using them. It's gotten to a point now, our kids, check with them. They can't write. They can't read cursive because they've never learned it. It's absolutely ridiculous. The kids have so many things that they're force feeding, and they don't even know which bathroom to go in anymore. How ridiculous is this whole thing? Then they changed the math. They got to mess with math too, of course. Well, they did it when I was a kid too. I mean, it was old math, then it went to new math, and now it's Common Core. Common Core is the new thing out there, and you have to have a calculator to do it. Well, geez, they didn't even have portable calculators when I was in grammar school. But yet, I did very well in math. Went through, I ran a business. I worked for over 50 years out in the public, and I've gotten through it without a calculator. But so many changes. Music, if you're into music, it's not the same anymore. It's totally different. Music's not music anymore. It's 6 words repeated many times within a song over and over and over again. Or you got the real hard bass sound that's da-dum, 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 da-dum. They're not only not going to be able to read, they're not going to be able to hear by the time they become adults. Movies are gone to heck. The actors that ever said anything or said something different or may have been wearing something, they've gotten thrown out of Hollywood. They just discharged them all together and threw them out. Television, lousy. Watching the news is very interesting. You got to watch multiple channels to get the whole story of what happened today. because they pick what they want. Every day I watch Fox, but then I put on NBC and I go, did they learn anything? Maybe they should put Fox on and talk about all these other topics that they don't want to talk about. That actually goes right into this administration. We won't go any further with that. So when we were kids, the big differences are we used to entertain each other. We'd go out and play in the park. We'd go in the backyard. We'd go to the neighbors, whatever. But we were doing things and keeping busy. We weren't in front of an electronic device. We would play outside, which now is really, they don't want you to play outside anymore because, well, there could be another pandemic. They want to keep you controlled and keep you inside the house. Children are now labeled ADHD, ADD, hyperactive. Where did all that come from? Just like I know that there's people that are reacting to peanut butter now. The shellfish thing has been around for quite a while, but the peanut butter thing, I was unaware of it. I mean, I never remember hearing any of that stuff when I was in grammar school. That's because our immune systems are changing. We're not making our immune systems work and expand. We have total access to kids today through a telephone, through a cell phone, because they all have them. When I was a kid, I could go to the park, I could go several blocks away, and my mom never worried about me. People were different. Our friends watched out for us. Other parents watched out for children as they were their own and made sure they didn't get in trouble. It's just so different now. Nobody does that. Nobody talks to anybody anymore. I mean, I remember when my kids were growing up and they're texting each other across the room. How ridiculous. So we are expected to stay inside. So that means now vitamin D supplements because we're not getting our sunlight. And I know I went through that during the pandemic. That pandemic really, if it wasn't for the pandemic, I don't think we would have learned the half of what's going on. That's been around for quite a while. This just didn't start. This has been developing for quite some time. And who knows for how long. I imagine we're going to learn as time goes on here. Back to playing outside. We used to play outside and get dirty. We used to wash up with water and soap. Not alcohol products. Not sanitizers. No constant. There's continual promos on TV now for drugs and vaccines. We didn't have that when we were kids either because our bodies were more immune to these things. Chemical toxicity was very low. Now we have gluten-free, sugar-free, fat-free, dairy-free, GMO-free. We didn't have any of that. Why are we trying to make plants taste like a cheeseburger? Why not just get the cheeseburger? It's actually better for you. What they're doing with this processing is not working either. You know, it's been talked about as far as bringing people back into the fold here to try and get them. They're a lot of that age group is not attending trade shows. They're not plugging in and getting subscriptions for magazines. They're conquering their world on their own, and they think they have all the answers. And you know what? They will have some really good answers. There's no doubt in my mind. But there's some things that have been tested over and over again. This entire generation doesn't want anything to do with history. Well, I don't know. You know, history told me a lot because starting at the very young age of 8 years old, I used to hang around with older adults all the time around my dad's shop. Simply because I wanted to cut to the fast lane and get to the root of the problem and take care of it the first time. Not a second time and going through trial and error. Learn from the guys that know. Oh my God, what a great path that is. And that's exactly what I'm talking to you about right now. About bringing new mentors into this industry. Because we don't have them. So with that, I hope all of you are able to handle everything that's going on because there's... You know, the payrolls are going up. The employees want to do less. They don't do anything. They're not using their own head. They don't think on their own anymore because, well, quite honestly, nobody wants them. The government doesn't want them to. That's for darn sure. And that's where all this seems to be going. But for today's sound thought, let's really consider about stop feeding a fad. This whole thing is a fad. I mean, let's be realistic here. That's exactly what it is. I'm old enough to know, well, I was 14 years old when Woodstock went on. And that was the thing I wanted to do. But bringing up 1969, we were going through that same kind of an era then, 50 years ago. However, now it's on steroids. And we've had a lot of electronics. We've had social media. We've had a lot of things amplify this. And what really brought it to fruition here, to the public eye, and to see what's going on, has been the pandemic, undoubtedly. They're already this year wanting us to put on masks again. You can rest assured next year we're going to be in masks because it's another election year. It's just everything is controlled and we're getting it force-fed down our throats. You know, we have many people coming into this country illegally through the borders. Say what you want about that. I have no problem with people coming to the country, but come legally. That's all I say is legally. We have undocumented people here. Now you got to ask yourself, why are people going through all this to get into the country? I don't hear anybody trying to get out. They're only trying to get in. So we must be pretty good. If you want to change society as we know it, go to another country. It's already got it established and go see what's happening. That will save you a lot of time. So given that, on the sound thought, what I would like you to do, if you possibly can, I want you to focus on your business and improving the industry. That's always been all the movers and shakers of the industry, always been trying to better the industry. Because really, it's a very young industry. You know, as we talked about it before, it started somewhere around late 90s, just before 2000. And so it's a very young industry, and we have a lot of things to learn. It was an ancillary service before. I know we've talked about that before too, but I want you to take and focus on family. Get your company more profitable. Spend more time with the family. There's nothing more important than family. Everybody's trying to distance us from everybody. We can't allow that to happen. We do so much better together. And find and locate all these movers and shakers. We need them. We need them desperately. So until the next time, be safe out there. Everyone goes home tonight. Your family needs you now more than ever. Things are really getting crazy out there, and they're only going to get crazier because, well, we're approaching an election year. Let's sit down and do what we know and stop playing all these games. We got to stop what's going on. Till the next time.
The best YouTube channel on the planet. On the Hook with Mr. Industry. If you have a topic that needs to be covered, send an email. Be sure to subscribe and share with others.